Good afternoon and welcome back. I'm Teddy and you are listening to MessyMocha. So go ahead and grab a cup and let's maybe pour some of this mocha out or sip it up, whatever you are doing on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. I'm glad to be back. I'll just be with you maybe half an hour as we begin to start our afternoon. I'm pausing because I'm looking at some comments. All right, so that video that Vicky referred to, the Cardi B video, well, we have found out the truth behind that. And whose voice it was on the video. Maybe I can pull that out in a little bit, but it was not my voice. No, it was a celebrity. Let me just tell you who. Let's see. I got so many emails yesterday. All right, let me just continue on with the broadcast, and then at maybe my next break, yeah, I can pull it out for you. Shout out to the mob, all my other bears. I call the Grizzlies and the Honey Bears. Please hit the like on your way in. Let me know that the sound is good. Turn this down. All right, so you can see from the title of this broadcast, America turns the page, a new presidency. Mhm. So, preparations or final preparations, let's say, are underway for Trump's inauguration. As the nation anticipates the inauguration of Donald Trump as the 47th President of the United States tomorrow, final preparations are in full swing due to an unprecedented cold front. I mentioned this the other day. The ceremony has been relocated indoors to the Capitol Rotunda. Security measures have been heightened with extensive arrangements to ensure the safety of all of the attendees. With tech leaders are expected to also attend. Some prominent figures in the technology industry, including Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Tim Cook, Zhao Zishu, Sundar Pichai, and Sam Altman, are expected to attend the inauguration. Elon Musk is scheduled to speak at a pre-inauguration rally, and Mark Zuckerberg will host a black tie event, signaling a strengthened relationship between the incoming administration and tech leaders. On the global front, reactions to U.S. leadership transition, international communities are closely monitoring the U.S. leadership change. Allies and adversaries alike are expressing cautious optimism or concern regarding the policies the new administration may implement. Diplomatic channels are all abuzz with discussions on how this shift may influence global relations. Also, in breaking news, the first of the Israeli hostages have been released. Let me see if I can just pull that up. There's a lot of news going on right now. Hang on. Grab your cup. Yeah. Freed hostages are now back in Israel as ceasefire begins. Plus, let's see, Israeli foreign minister, Trump administration didn't force Israel into accepting ceasefire. Three female hostages who are held in Gaza for the 15 months are being reunited with their mothers who traveled to southern Israel to meet them. So the first of the hostages, these three, are women, three young women. As a matter of fact, I might show their pictures. Plus, TikTok goes dark in the US as shutdown takes effect. It's a developing story. I haven't checked for TikTok, but what I have read is something about an executive order is going to be put into place once President elect Donald Trump um, takes the office of presidency. I don't know, but are you one of those who are, concerned about the TikTok? Let me, you know what? I've got all these different screens up. Let me see if I can merge some of them that I'm looking at into one. Hang on for a second. All right, there we are. Yeah, right. So it's good news for some of the families who have been long awaiting the release of their loved ones from captivity. Mhm. Also, hang on. Have you been following any of the discussions on this civil rights bill? Jasmine Crockett, who is one of the congressional representatives, she's from Texas. Well, she had a really, I'll just say, it was a fiery, very fiery exchange about civil rights act and what civil rights is. That took place about 4 days ago. I watched some of it, and she went back and forth with um, Representative Mace and Marjorie Taylor Greene had a lot to say about it. It was rather interesting, to say the least. Jasmine Crockett, if you've ever watched her, she is really making her mark for her first year in Congress. Have you seen it? Mm-hmm. Let's see what these comments are already saying. Gia, good morning. No, it's afternoon. Sorry. A little Teddy, because USA had the craziest videos. The Canadian ones are a little bit vanilla. Okay. Good morning and good afternoon. It's still morning for some of you that are coming in. Yep, it is. So let me just outline for tomorrow. Let's see, kind of the schedule of events. And by the way, last night, so I was watching the Lions, in the Washington. Uh, wow. I just, I couldn't turn it off, but I wanted to turn it off. And the Lions lost. The Lions lost. And it was getting kind of late. I just didn't even want to come on last night. I just commandeered. That's right. I think the final score was something like 45-31. So a lot of Lions fans are heartbroken today. Okay, so here's the breakdown of the key events schedule for tomorrow's inauguration. At 7 a.m. Eastern, C SPAN is going to have live coverage of the inauguration. It begins, okay? At 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Vice President elect J.D. Vance will take the oath of office that will be administered by Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. I believe, I mean, all of the major news outlets will be covering it. CBS is reporting on that one. At 11:47 a.m. Eastern Time, President elect Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States by Chief Justice John Roberts. And then at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, so noon, President Trump's inaugural address. At 1 p.m., there will be the inaugural luncheon with congressional leaders. At 3 p.m., President's review of the armed forces, and then what a lot of people are waiting for. 7 o'clock begins tomorrow night. Inaugural balls and celebration will commence at various venues, including a victory rally at Capital One Arena. So, for all the big fans of fashion and pomp and circumstances and celebrations, you can get your feel tomorrow night. Now, I for some reason I said, let me check this screen, make sure I have these comments off. I didn't. Yeah. So, will you be watching any of that? Will I cover it um, at noon tomorrow? I think it's important enough. I am just wondering, like, maybe which channels I can, uh, broadcast from. hmm let's see. Follow Unwind with Teddy on all social media. Thank you, Vicky Black. Gia says, I'm just looking forward to seeing what Melania is going to wear. I loved her first baby blue suit that she wore the last inauguration. I have to say, it was stunning. I said it then. I liked it. The short coat, it was beautiful with the white gloves and everything. It was very nice. And so uh, this time for the inaugural, parade. What she's going to be wearing, who's going to be uh, you know, standing alongside of it will be the First Lady, Melania Trump, and her husband, President Donald Trump, and the family, who's all going to be on the stage. I'm sure, all of his children, I expect, will be there, to witness the swearing in ceremonies. Yeah, it's going to be a big day. And America is going to be turning the page. Yes, tomorrow. So um, we'll, you know, more than likely cover some of it as it kicks off, tomorrow. Okay. What are you hoping for? Um, what do you think is going to be one of the first executive orders to be signed? There's supposed to be, many of them. It's going to be a day, I think, a day filled with, um, leading up to it, a lot of excitement. And while it's going to be held indoors, the Capitol Arena, I believe they're going to open that up for um, like 20,000. I think that's the capacity that it can hold. Overflow people who want to watch the inauguration, who are, I guess, invited, they can't, you know. So they're going to have tickets there. And then I imagine, but I'm not sure, because there were all these chairs on the Washington Mall set up, and then all that standing room. Um, I don't know if they're going to have the large jumbotrons, even though it's going to be like freezing temperatures. I think people just wanted to you know be there. Yeah. And so we'll have to wait to see. Definitely is going to cut down on the crowd size that was, expected, but it was all due to weather, and then followed by um, safety concerns. Maybe there are some things they're not really telling us. Yeah, but I was in Washington when President um, Obama, Barack Obama, um, was sworn in. And I remember only too well how frigid and cold it was. I mean, people were, um, on the mall. It was just a sea of people. I was one of them, but I remember, ooh, how cold it was. And I I remember, it's like once people were on the mall, you didn't really want to move. Although people were moving around, it was like packed like sardines. Yeah. And I remember carrying like one of those um, bags of like, the dried fruit and nuts and berries and all of that. Well, I had that with me and water, and that was it. Yeah. And I remember taking the bus. Yeah, I caught it wasn't a Greyhound, it was a chartered bus. And there were many chartered buses that were leaving and coming from all over the country to Washington for the inauguration of President Barack Obama. Yeah. And we had arrived because it was overnight, I think, like maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. It was something like that, 5 or 6. And then we had to, um, after getting off the bus, I think, like take, it seems like I remember like taking another bus to the mall and then only getting so close and then walking. Uh, but the excitement, it was the excitement of the day of history being made that kept many, many, many people warm. And I remember even um, being there to see the um, parade after the inauguration or swearing in with President Obama. I remember Michelle Obama and President Obama, walking alongside the car outside and her waving. Now she had on. It seems like it was a light a light green, like mint color uh, ensemble, like coat over her dress. It was very beautiful as well. Yeah. Gia says Teddy didn't look emptier than when Obama was inaugurated at the time. Because I feel this time it's going to be full of red hats. That's what it was supposed to be. And I imagine there are going to be some people, yeah. I mean, people that have already traveled to Washington. They were expecting to, watch the inauguration on the mall. Yeah. And to hear, the swearing in and to, kind of see it more up close. Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. And then there's some pre inaugural festivities as well. Was I dressed warm? Not enough. Not enough. Not. I mean, I had on, gloves and hat and boots and all of that, but standing in the freezing cold, yeah, I could have used at least one or two more layers. But I never went into, like one of the warming areas. No, I just stuck it out. Yeah, I did. Like many other people. Miss Vaughn, 50, good afternoon, says, I feel like they are going to be doing, is that the most? Yeah. It was beautiful. I watched it at work. Yeah. And some people are going to be doing that. I mean, yeah, it's a big day. It's a big, I mean, ooh, it's a big day for the office. It's a big day for, swearing in of a new president, whether you voted for uh, Trump or not. Yeah. And let's see, President Biden, what is going to be his last? Because I looked it up. He's going to be in South Carolina. Let's see. And of course, tomorrow is Martin Luther King. It's a holiday. Um, let me see if I. Hold it up. on the AP. He's going to be giving an address. Let's see. Yeah. So it's been reported all over. Let's see which one I want to grab. Biden is spending last day of presidency in South Carolina as he reflects on 5 decades in Washington on the eve, that's right, so today, on the eve of President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration, Biden is returning to a state that holds special meaning to him as he reflects on 5 decade political career filled with highs and lows. President Joe Biden is spending the last full day of his presidency in South Carolina. Today's travel will be his last official trip as president and will continue his long relationship with the state of South Carolina. On the eve of President elect Donald Trump's inauguration, President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden visited the Royal Missionary Baptist Church in Charleston, where several hundred churchgoers gathered to pray, sing gospel songs, and honor the legacy of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. a day before the federal holiday. Let's see. After church, the Bidens are slated to visit the International African American Museum. The president's farewell comes on the heels of a major diplomatic achievement for his administration, and that is a ceasefire. That's big for his legacy between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. President Biden announced in May 2024 a framework to stop the fighting, return the hostages, provide humanitarian aid, and ultimately rebuild Gaza. Did you hear where one of his regrets, um, President Biden's regrets, is that he didn't take enough credit? I'll just put it in words like that for the accomplishments. Some of the accomplishments that he did have during his, 4 years in office. Yeah, he could have, you know, mentioned more or taken credit for more of those things, right? What else is going to go on? I do want to see if I can let you hear some of that exchange. If you're interested. Representative Jasmine Crockett, um, very outspoken, uh, newcomer to Congress, uh, making her mark, a strong mark, and being just as let's see, like a lightning rod. It's almost now expected for some when she speaks that is going to spark some type of controversy or you um yeah, she's already butted heads. She's butted heads that got her like really into the spotlight with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And what happened a few days ago when she was in the chamber, she was speaking about, what civil rights, and Mace and her butted heads. She called, well, Jasmine Guy in her response to some of the things that were being said that Mace said. And I guess it's kind of like a maybe a southern. It's just a southern saying, I guess. Um, well, Jasmine Guy. I mean Jasmine. Did I say Guy? Yeah, I did. Crockett addressed her. She called her a child, like child, you know. And May said, "You want to take it outside?" And the chambers like it had to be halted for several minutes because people were putting forward, you know, saying that that was basically uh, an aggressive move toward the Congress uh, woman, and they took a vote on it. Um, so it kind of went back and forth, but did I almost want to show it, but and see if you would agree with it. But Congress is, if you want to watch some fireworks, you watch some of those hearings on uh, on the Hill, and especially, the congressional hearings. Yeah, those different subcommittees. It almost felt like the language. I didn't know they were using such language. During the meetings. Yeah, there was a lot of swearing going on. I just didn't know it was. Uh, well, it certainly wouldn't be decorum, but they were. Uh, yeah. So maybe I'll have to pull a clip that I think I could show. Okay. What time is it? It's 12:37. Anything else before I turn the page and say good afternoon and goodbye to some of you? I do plan to come back tonight, maybe a little longer, on Night Talk, maybe with some more conversation that might be enlightening. Yeah, kind of on another, let's just say, another thing. Yeah. Marjorie gives me violent thoughts. Yeah. Let's see if I can. Let's see. At least if we can listen to some of her rebuttal. She told her about civil rights. let's see. Oversight Committee. See if I can just pull a little bit of what Jasmine had to say. Let's see.
I want to find out which of those.
Wait a minute. Let me just make sure I don't have too many different YouTube channels up.
Emails actually have Chairman, I am reclaiming my time.
You will not do that.
Order. Chairman, I am reclaiming my time.
If you want to take it outside,
Mr. Chairman, the committee is not in order.
Order.
Point of order. Point of order.
Order. Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
No, point of order, Mr. Chairman.
State your point.
Is it allowed in the rules for a member to incite violence against another member? I mean, she wants to take it outside with.
Hey, I have the First Amendment right too,
and so I'd like those words
right.
to be
I'm
taken
not
down. I am moving to have those words taken down. I believe it's against the rules.
Going outside doesn't incite violence.
Another
you have a conversation that isn't.
The committee will suspend. The member will state the.
Okay, so this was another representative. I keep leaving comments up because I was looking at a different screen. So this Mr. Frost, you heard just a little bit of that. Let me see if I can just roll it back. What I'm trying to do is, so I have to keep going back between screens. Hang on. Let's see. I can move it to a different side. That way you can get just a little bit of a flavor, a sense of what went on. Okay, let's put the coffee cup up. See if we can do this again. This is fair use commentary. All right, so this was the House Oversight and Accountability Committee. They were holding an organizational meeting, and this is when Ms. Crockett, Jasmine Crockett, the representative from Texas. Y'all know what she looks like, right? Let me see if I have a picture. I always have to put up my. Hang on, let me see if I can pull up a picture. Okay. So you know who's speaking here. And we're going to try this again. Hang on.
119th Congress, the chairman and House Republicans have decided to prioritize the demands of the real president, Elon Musk, and his billionaire friends over the needs of the American people. Now, we are about to approach the birthday of Martin Luther King. It's actually tomorrow. And on January 20th will be the inauguration of Donald Trump, but it will also be the observation of MLK Day. And the fact that we have decided that in this country we are not going to honor civil rights should be something that we all take issue with. Considering the fact, for some that don't know what civil rights are about, because some people only believe that it deals with Black folk, let me explain. Civil and political rights are a class of rights that protect individuals' freedom from the infringement by governments, social organizations, and private individuals. They ensure one's entitlement to participate in the civil and political life of society and the state. Defined another way, the right to be free from discrimination, the freedom to worship as we choose, the right to vote for our elected representatives, the protections of due process, the right to privacy. If any of that sounds familiar, it is because these are rights that are born out of our Constitution, something that we all supposedly have sworn an oath to, and we swear to not only, we don't just swear to it, we are supposed to protect those rights. Interestingly enough, we just had the funeral of one of our beloved presidents. And I caught a flight to Austin on the day of the funeral. And I had the honor of sitting next to someone who was a little
Okay,
familiar
let me
with the White
skip through
House.
this just a little bit. Just a little bit. That little story.
Bit inconvenient as an 18-year-old
Okay, skip through that.
espoused to believe in. And with that,
Okay, wait. I just have to show you this part. Let's see. Wait a minute. Bear with me. Why don't you see just a little bit of this part? I don't know if it's going to show over here. See, it's starting to spin. Okay, hang on. I knew that was going to happen.
and just institute a subcommittee.
I wanted you to see that.
That would make sure that we are looking out for those protections of everyone in this country, to make sure that we have.
I can't get it to do it. So let me just move it back. My apologies.
Of real freedom, something that we all supposedly espouse to believe in. And with that, I will yield.
Mr. Chairman.
Ladies, time's expired. Any member seek recognition?
Yes.
Mr. Higgin? Oh, Ms. Mace was first. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
this is where Miss Mace
Thank you,
comes.
Mr. Chairman. Again, I don't know what's going on today. I find it extremely rich and offensive. So we're talking about civil rights. I'm the former ranking member on the Civil Rights Subcommittee, something I believe in civil rights and civil liberties of all Americans.
That was Mace, all right? So let's listen in to what she is getting ready to say.
And we were talking about infringement of individual people. Also, quote, the right to privacy of individuals. Coming from a party that can't define what a woman is and won't give women the right to privacy. You all want men with penises, chicks with dicks.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that part. Phew. It's kind of fiery. All right.
In the bathroom with us. You want women to be forced to undress in front of men in the locker room and in dressing rooms. And it's so hypocritical for you to sit here and say and be, screaming from the rooftops about right to privacy and civil rights when you don't respect women. And you don't respect women who've been raped, women who are victims of sexual abuse.
Her exchange, and then a little bit of the back and forth, and then hear what Marjorie Taylor Greene had to say as well. Okay, let's see if I can turn it back. Put the trigger warning up. Yeah.
Sit here and say and be, screaming from the rooftops about right to privacy and civil rights when you don't respect women. And you don't respect women who've been raped, women who are victims of sexual abuse. And you want me, a victim of rape, a survivor of rape, to go into a locker room and be forced to undress in front of a man? You have to be effing kidding me. So,
ooh, and this is the Congresswoman Mays.
I don't want to hear about you talk about rights, individual rights, civil rights, because you can't find the courage from the 60s to fight for women all around America, fight for women like me, every single woman. And as a rape survivor, I shouldn't have to explain to you why women have rights and why women, when we're in the bathroom,
No, we're going to listen to her.
We're in a dressing room, why I don't feel safe when there is a man nearby. And the fact that we're going here and we're going to say all these things is the ripeness of hypocrisy on the
this
Hill.
is for education.
People need to tell the truth. And if we're going to talk about the rights of individuals, we have to talk about it. Everybody has rights, including women. And at some point, men are infringing on the rights of women. We just had it today. We just had a vote about protecting women and girls in sports. And I believe it wasn't one, it was two people from the Democrat Party who voted to protect women's rights in sports today.
This exchange only took place just a few days ago.
Two. Yeah. So this is, Mr. Chairman, this is a deeply offensive conversation to me today. We want to talk about real freedom. Women have freedom in this country. Women have the freedom to go to a private women's only space and not see a man in it. Women have the right to change and not be feared that somebody with their sexual perversion.
It's like, okay, where's my bleep?
Someone who's confused about their gender.
This is
we have the right to feel safe in these spaces. We have the right to know that we're not going to have trans people filming us in the bathroom. How many of these trans...
Okay, let me see. Okay, I know how I can do it.
These men are taking selfies in women's... It's gross. It's disgusting. So if we're going to talk about civil rights, let's talk about the rights of women in this country and how you are stripping them away every single day. And you're doing it in your legislation, you're doing it in your messaging, you're doing it on X. You're making women feel unsafe in this country. And you're making the opportunity for women and girls to be raped country even greater than they've ever been. So don't come over here with your attitude and talk to me about rights when you're trying to take my rights as a woman, a rape survivor, away. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Any member seek recognition? Ms. Stansbury.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the gentlelady across the aisle demonstrating why we need civil rights. We need civil.
Wait a minute. Let me see if I can go. All right. And then Crockett comes back in. This is a great conversation. It's worth having and listening to the debate and the points that are being made on both sides.
She gonna keep saying trans, 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 so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all to
am
tell
no
me
child.
whether or
Do
not
not call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those
I am 47 years
emails
old. I have broken
actually
more
have.
glass ceilings than you
Chairman,
ever
I
Order,
am
please.
reclaiming my
Let's go.
time.
You will not do that.
Order.
I am not a
Chairman,
child.
I am reclaiming my time.
If you want to take it outside,
Mr. Chairman, the committee is not
Okay.
in order.
All right. Order.
Point of order. Point of order.
Order. Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
No, point.
You hear that? Wait a minute. Here she goes.
She gonna keep saying trans, 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 so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all
I
to
am
tell
no
me
child.
whether or
Do
not
not call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those.
I just wanted you to see when she flipped her hair. I'm talking about Jasmine Crockett. She had all these braids installed. It's a nice style. And she flips all these braids back. Oh my goodness. And stares at her and calls her child.
Those
47 years
emails
old. I have broken
actually
more
have.
glass ceilings than you
Chairman,
ever
I
Order,
am
please.
reclaiming my
Let's go.
time.
You will not do that. I
Order.
am not a child. I am not.
She gonna keep saying trans, 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 so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all
I
to
am
tell
no
me
child.
whether or
Do
not.
not call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those
I am 47 years
emails
old. I have broken
actually
more
have.
glass ceilings than you
Chairman,
ever.
I
Order,
am
please.
reclaiming my
Let's go.
time.
You will not do that. I
Order.
am not a
Chairman,
child.
I am
not a
reclaiming
child.
my time.
If you want to take it outside,
Mr. Chairman, the committee is not
Okay.
in order.
All right. Order.
Point of order. Point of order.
Order. Chair.
Could you not hear the sound? Gia says no sound. I'm just now looking at the comment. Vicky Black last says, there it is. There it goes. Take it outside. Did you hear that part? I wanted you to see Jasmine Crockett. I don't know how I can get this part. Just before it's going to start spinning. Let's see. I don't know. Let's try it.
She gonna keep saying trans, 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 so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all
I
to
am
tell
no
me
child.
whether or
Do
not.
not call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those
I am 47 years
emails
old. I have broken
actually
more
have.
glass ceilings than you
Chairman,
ever.
I
Order,
am
please.
reclaiming my
Let's go.
time.
You will not do that.
Order.
I am not a
Chairman,
child.
I am
not a
reclaiming
child.
my time.
If you want to take it outside,
Mr. Chairman, the committee is not
Okay.
in order.
All right.
Point of order. Point of order.
Order. Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
No, point of order, Mr. Chairman.
State your point.
Is it allowed in the rules for a member to incite violence against another member? I mean, she
That's what it
she
was,
wants to take it
inciting
outside
violence.
with.
Hey, I have the
Crockett.
First Amendment right too,
And
young
so
man. I have the
I'd like
First
those
Amendment
words
right.
to be
I'm not
taken
gonna be a
down.
child.
I
I'm
am
not gonna
moving
be
to have
called a
those
child
words
by
taken
any
down.
of
I
you.
believe it's against the rules to
Going
incite
outside doesn't
violence
incite
against
violence. You
another
should have a
member of
conversation
Congress.
that isn't.
The committee will
interrupting this
suspend.
committee.
The member will state the words he wishes taken down.
Where she said that we can take it outside, which is direct violation against the rules, inciting violence against another member.
What rule? What rule? Cite the rule.
How does that incite violence?
Mr. Chairman, there are,
Listen to how they try to
if I might point out, Mr. Chairman, there are decorum rules in the House of Representatives.
decorum.
And the two parliamentarians are discussing this right now. We'll suspend for a second.
So what they did is they suspended, and then a vote was called to see if the yays and the nays, if Mace had incited, basically, if she was inciting violence by saying, oh, we can take this outside. Ultimately, it got thrown out. Like, it could be the way they describe it. Like, take it outside. We can talk this over. We can, do this or that. But, and then Marjorie Taylor Greene, she has something to say. No, did you say the cornrows? As a matter of fact, Vicky, um, Jasmine Crockett, she got into it with Marjorie Taylor Greene when Marjorie Taylor Greene, this was last spring, said something about her eyelashes, her long eyelashes. Yes, and then Crockett came back, and that's when she rattled off, blonde and such, right? And she became known, and she was, going around these different networks, circuits, being interviewed because of the things that she came back and said. So it's been on since then, and Jasmine Crockett has since she's had changed her style at least a few times. I'll just say a couple of times, okay? But now she has these long braids, cornrows, and she flung them back. You saw she's been doing this quite a bit too, with just like little motions. I guess she can get kind of animated. But let me let you hear what Marjorie Taylor Greene had to say after they took, they went back and forth, back and forth. Okay, here's Jasmine Crockett again. Let's see what she's saying here.
Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett for her remaining 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The final points that I was going to make is while this amendment has to do with civil rights, for whatever reason, the colleague on the other side of the aisle decided to attack Democrats and pretend as if we do not look out for women. And I want to be clear that it's Democrats that were pushing for the Equal Rights Amendment, and I don't recall any Republicans supporting us having the Equal Rights Amendment. I also want to make it clear that just because someone fantasizes or wants to be dramatic about the idea of someone could be a quote unquote man in a locker room or in a bathroom, I've yet.
Oh, was that some shade? Because she came back and said to Mace, just because she fantasizes, well, we knew what she was saying there, right?
To hear an actual testimony of someone who, for whatever reason, has experienced this in real time. But I can tell you some real numbers and some real facts, because I don't like to live in fantasy when I'm talking about how I'm going to govern for the American people.
Okay, so let's just see here. How many times? Count the number of times that she hair flips.
Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett for her remaining 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The final points that I was going to make is while this amendment has to do with civil rights, for whatever reason, the colleague on the other side of the aisle decided to attack Democrats and pretend as if we do not look out for women. And I want to be clear that it's Democrats that were pushing for the Equal Rights Amendment, and I don't recall any Republicans supporting us having the Equal Rights Amendment. I also want to make it clear that just because someone fantasizes or wants to be dramatic about the idea of someone could be a quote unquote man in a locker room or in a bathroom. I've yet to hear an actual testimony of someone who, for whatever reason, has experienced this in real time. But I can tell you some real numbers and some real facts, because I don't like to live in fantasy when I'm talking about how I'm going to govern for the American people. The facts are, in my state alone, in the state of Texas, once they decided that they were going to overturn the Roe decision, 26,000 women then ended up raped. 26,000 is what we had reported. And that was only within about a year's time span. And when they reported those rapes, none of them seemed to have anything to do with trans folk. And I don't recall any legislation to help out those women in Texas and beyond that are actually dying. We're not projecting may die, but are actually dying or have died in southern states that have decided that they wanted to go after our reproductive freedom. So as a woman in this country, as a Texan, and as a Black woman, who, when we look at the numbers, and I believe in data and science, and I know that that escapes a lot of people in this chamber, but the numbers are clear that specifically Black women have always struggled when it came down to the maternal mortality rates in general. The fact that somebody who looks like me, no matter how much money they have, because I can remind you of a very wealthy tennis star that almost lost her life while trying to give birth. Some things I honestly just don't think should be partisan. And frankly, I do believe in privacy, because honestly, I don't want none of y'all making decisions if I ever end up pregnant and have to decide what it takes for me to save my life. And I give the same opportunity for other women in this country to make decisions as they see fit. So while we look at how we protect women completely differently, I can tell you that at least in the 766,000 women or 766,000 constituents that I represent, I have had them come to me concerned about whether or not they could survive childbirth. But I have not had a single person in my district tell me that they were concerned that they may be raped by a trans person.
Okay,
So if there
wait a
is an
minute.
issue to solve in this country based on facts, data, and statistics, I think that we need to look at the type of health care that we are going to advance for women in this country. And with that, I will yield.
Gentlelady.
She didn't have any problems. She didn't have any problems at all articulating her points, bringing up her facts and her data. But let's take a listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who follows up, and let's see if she agrees or disagrees and makes stronger points. Or let's just call them not stronger points, counter points to what Jasmine Crockett has to say. I think he's getting ready to bring up Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's see. This is fair use commentary. This is absolutely for education. Just to see some of these congressmen and women. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's see. He's getting ready to bring up the gentle lady. Okay. Let's see. Free Berkeley, good afternoon, says, not one problem. Articulating, no lies. Can you see why she's getting so much visibility? Yeah, she has really caused a firestorm and made a name for herself. Okay, let's listen to what Marjorie Taylor Greene had to say.
From Georgia, Ms. Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When we talk about civil rights, we should talk about the rights of over 63 million unborn people that were slaughtered in the womb by what Democrats call reproductive rights. Your reproductive rights are murder. And when you want to talk about which form of murder do you want to use against an person who should have the right to life, we should go into all of those nasty, disgusting methods. Whether these innocent people are ripped and murdered in the or are their heads, cervix, and womb. Let's talk about those rights. And let's talk about rape. Yeah, let's talk about it. A former student convicted of sexually assaulting 2 girls released by Loudoun County judge. You know, you were talking about stats and data. There is information, if you just take a minute to go look it up on your cell phone that you're looking at right now, you can look up a biological male student that was mentally ill and dressed up like a girl and went in the girls' high school bathroom and sexually assaulted 2 women. Yeah, it happens all the time. And when you talk about civil rights, let's talk about women's rights in sports. A male swimmer competed on the men's team for 3 years before winning the women's NCAA Division I championship in the 500-yard freestyle event. This same man was nominated NCAA Woman of the Year. That is a big violation of women's rights. After playing on a college men's team 30 years prior, a 52-year-old 6'6" man joined a women's junior college basketball team and destroyed them on the court. Oh, wow. I thought you cared about rights, civil rights, women's rights. A male runner was named Women's Athlete of the Week after competing in an NCAA Division I women's cross country meet. One male athlete won first place in the women's mile race at an NCAA Division I conference championship. And a 17-year-old female volleyball player was left partially paralyzed with brain damage after a ball was spiked at her by her biological male opponent. The team rightfully forfeited the remainder of the games played against that school out of safety concerns. Why don't you care about these women's rights? If you want to preach about civil rights, civil liberties, and protecting people's rights, you should be standing up and protecting women and girls' rights in sports. And keep your biological men who are mentally insane and have sexually out of our bathrooms, out of our sports, out of our women's spaces. And if you want to continue to be the party that stands up for that absolute insane bullshit, we'll keep beating you election after election after election. You want to know why? Because y'all are for they, them, and we're for the American people. We stand up for women and children, and we will protect them from the deranged lunatics.
Sorry, now that I know I could just, I was trying to delete or bleep, not delete, bleep back and forth, but you can see there was some heated exchange between these ladies and this bill and or giving more attention to civil rights and talking about what it means not just for African American women and men, but for all people here, especially around this whole civil rights that was signed, coming up on, well, it's already been Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King's, birthday, and tomorrow will be the holiday. Yeah. I want you to see some of that. Let's see. Put the coffee cup up. A busy Sunday, huh? America turns the page. A new presidency, Vicky says, preach. They were both preaching at each other, weren't they? Freebird Lee says, I'm here for it. We need our voices heard and advocated for. She certainly is an advocate um, for her folks there in Texas who voted, her constituents in Texas. I guess you could say that, right? They're probably going to vote her in before the vote, before she even has to run again. Yeah. She kind of reminds me in her tone. Which one would she? I don't think Sheila Jackson Lee. I think from California. She's still a congresswoman. What is her name? Maxine. I'm trying to think of her name. It's Maxine Waters. That's who I'm thinking about. All right. Well, Messy Mocha, America turns the page. It's time for me to say goodbye. It's 1:14 in the afternoon. Okay. And maybe I can. Yes, Maxine. Maxine, Maxine. If someone were to put together like clips and clips of Maxine, she's had some zingers over the years. Yeah, yeah. But I guess you need to be, kind of strong to go and fight for the people, right? On either side, because your constituency expects you to do that. Yeah, yeah. All right. Biggest bear hugs go out to all the grizzlies and the honey bears. Please hit the like on your way out. Join me later. I do plan to come back tonight. I hope you have a great Sunday. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Teddy. Have a great